Welcome, everybody. John Zager. JohnZager.com. How's everybody doing? Good? Good. It's a cloudy day here on the eastern slope. Clouds are kind of coming in. It was clear overnight. Pretty warm, in the low 30s. And supposed to rain, I believe, later today or today sometime. And I believe there's supposed to be some snow tomorrow. Can't be a whole lot. It's supposed to be in the low 40s, high 30s, so I would expect it's going to be more rain than snow. But anyway, it's trying to become spring, and that's a good thing. So today I want to talk to you about something I wrote a podcast about this morning, and that's that a lot of people seem to believe that they're a product of where they came from. Actually, I would venture a guess with the research that I do that it's probably 75% or greater believe that they're a product of where they came from. How that works is pretty simple, right? You consciously and continuously think about your childhood, where you grew up, your mom and dad, your relatives, your siblings, the neighborhood you lived in, the quality of life you had, whether you lived in abundance or lack, the attitude of your mom and dad, aunts and uncles, adults around you. Was it positive? Was it healthy? Was it negative? Was it destructive? I get the sense over the many years of doing clinical psychology that people are obsessed with thinking about their past. I just believe that's the way it works. I would venture if you're listening to this, you might also agree with that. You probably spend a fair amount of time thinking about your youth, when you were a child, growing up, the home you lived in, the way that mom and dad, for instance, conducted themselves, handled themselves, treated you guys, you and your siblings if you had any. All of that kind of boils down to the way you live your life today. The book Rich Dad, Poor Dad really hit the nail on the head. And if you haven't read it, just go buy it. It's really cheap right now to get in paperback. But, your parents or your dad or your mom or whoever taught you what they knew. If they had an abundant life, a good life, a good home, a nice home, that's probably what they taught you, and you learned that that's the way you live your life. That's the way your life is going to turn out. On the other side, if you lived in lack and your mom or dad or whoever didn't have a whole lot to teach you about how to be successful, let's say financially, that's what you learned. And so you move on into your adult life with that premise that your life is going to be pretty much like that. because you don't have any other information to pull off of. So you go through your day. You know, they say 95% of your day is all from your subconscious. Your subconscious is nothing more than every single thought and event and feeling that you've had your entire life. And that's what you think about. That's what you feel. That's the events that you have in your life. You don't know how, if you grew up in lack and poverty and maybe not a lot of love and nurturance and compassion and that sort of thing, how are you going to do something different? You don't know anything different. So what happens? What happens is what's going on right now and has been going on for quite a long time is that people start going to workshops. They start getting educated. They start listening to experts in the field. You know, the Tony Robbins, you know, the Joe Dispenzas, people of that nature that can inform you on how to do something you weren't given when you were a little kid. Does that make sense? So more and more and more people are listening to podcasts like this. More and more people are reading blogs like the one that I write and everybody else seems to be writing about. You know, personal growth, how to make changes, how to change your subconscious belief systems. All of that stuff, that's where people are gravitating to. Because Rich Dad, Poor Dad is really true. If you came from a family that was not abundantly wealthy and knew how to teach that, model that to their kids, you don't have that information. So as you get older and start seeing people that have that mentality, you want it. So you go out and you seek it out yourself. It's a tragedy is what it is. Because what you were given or taught or modeled as a child is what you take away. That doesn't mean mom and dad or relatives or adults were bad people. They were not. It means you should love them just as much. You should care about them just as much. But they didn't have the information to give you. It doesn't make them good or bad. They just did not have the information to give you. Therefore, the information you got, the modeling that you got, was wrong. Not intentionally. It was just flat-ass wrong. And as a result, you walked away from that with a perception and a belief that that's what you're going to be. You're the product of that. You're the product of that. And you're not. You're not, obviously. Your whole thought process, your whole belief system is totally different than what they gave you. Totally different than what they gave you. And you're out seeking that information that fits in with who you are today, not what you walked away with as a child. You are not a product of where you came from. You are not a product of where you came from. You're not. So how does that change? So how does that change? Obviously, you go out and find those people. Tony Robbins had a pretty good deal. He talks about coming from a difficult family upbringing. I don't remember all the details to it. At one point, I don't know, when he left home or whatever, he lived in a Volkswagen, I think he said, and he's a big man, right? Well, that must have been pretty cramped. And then he talks about having lived in a 400 square foot apartment in Venice Beach. Well, all he's doing at that point in time is being a product of where he came from. That's all he had. That's all the information he had. That doesn't make his family bad. It doesn't make his childhood bad. He doesn't not love the adults in his life because of that. But he just didn't have the information. He didn't have the modeling. So what did he do? Here's what he did. He went out and read every book that he could get his hands on. About personal growth type subjects. He went out and started interviewing successful people. People that maybe didn't grow up the way he grew up. People that had a mentality on how you acquire abundance, how you succeed. And he went on to turn that information that he was acquiring into, I don't know if he's worth $1 billion, but he's probably worth $500 million anyway in his lifetime. Maybe more. I don't know. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. He put his thoughts away with he's a product of where he came from. He put those thoughts away and went out and gained the information, found the information, sought the information, read the information. I think there's a lot of people like Tony. I think there's a lot of people who came from backgrounds that were in lack, not abundance. And they too went out and started going to workshops and seminars. And they started finding people that could give them the information they needed that they did not receive when they were younger. They were determined not to be a product of where they came from. Does that all make sense? So, take your life today, whoever you are listening to this podcast, and I hope you listen all the time. I could sure use that. That would help me, because they only let me do this as long as I am productive and have people that follow me. If people don't follow me, guess what? I'm expendable. But anyway, your life today is the way it is, partly, and maybe more than partly, based on you believing you're a product. And that's just not true. Not true. So, and you might be successful. I don't know, whatever successful is. I mean, you might be in a job where you're making $72,000 a year. I don't know. You might have a wonderful wife or husband, and you're happy with that. But you still have that lingering feeling deep down inside that you're a product, and you are not where you would like to be based on thinking and feeling you're still a product of where you came from. Maybe your mom and dad and your family lived in a modest home and your dad made a modest amount of money and it was, I don't know, average, but you still were in lack of sorts. Well, maybe that's where you're at today with your family. And that's not good enough. The universe wants to give you joy and abundance. But you have to erase that you're a product of where you came from. Does that make sense, everybody? So, meditate on that. I know I say that quite a bit when I do these podcasts, but I want you to think and process. I want you to think and process what I'm talking about. It might sound simple, but then why are you doing it? If it sounds simple, why are you listening to it? If it sounds simple, why do you still have that feeling deep inside that you're a product? You're not supposed to have that feeling that you're a product of where you came from. That's not supposed to be in your conscious thought. It's not supposed to be in your subconscious thought. When you get up in the morning, there needs to be purpose and meaning. Or why get up? Why get up if there's no purpose or meaning? If you're a product, you've had the bullseye on you and you're the target. And nothing is going to change from where you came from. And that's who you are. There is no purpose. There is no meaning to what you're doing if you get up in the morning and feel that way. You need to get up in the morning with the purpose and the meaning in your life, that there's a vision of where you're going and who you're going to be and who you actually are. You have to see yourself as successful, as living a life of abundance and joy and happiness. And that there's nothing you can overcome. Meditate on that stuff today, you guys. I don't know, sometime today, pull 5 or 10 minutes aside and sit down where nobody can bother you and meditate. That means think about what's inside of you, in your gut, about the conversation I'm having with you. That makes sense? God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.